Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Disney World parks. So all four that I'm mainly making this video for my thrill ride picks. Again, this is just a reminder. This is just my opinion. This is what I found of my multiple times going, because I have gone, I think, of a total of 3 times to all of the parks. So I have experienced everything, but this is made in 2022, and I haven't been there since, I'd say, last year, 2021. I think it might have been 2020. It's been a long time, but here we go. This is my top 10. For top 10, it's going to be Mission Space, and that is in Epcot. Mission Space has 2 different ride experiences. You have one that is more for the children and less thrilling, and then you have another line. I believe it's green and yellow. I could be wrong on the colors. I haven't been there in a while, and I'm not really doing much kind of scope on what it was. But this is straight out of my head and straight out of the experience I've had. This ride was a bit exciting in a way. I was walking in there expecting, something crazy. I didn't ride it the first couple of times I went, but I ended up going on it the last time I went to Epcot. It was an interesting experience. It does really good getting the feeling of that gravity well, because that's what it is. It just spins you over and over. And I did the more, the advanced, the expert, I don't know what it was called, but the more intense experience for the ride. It did make me a little dizzy, but out of the thrill aspect of it, it had to make the top 10. Of course, it's not the best. It's not the best ride in any of the parks in any means, but it is definitely more exciting of the rides that they have at Disney World. Their thrill level, appealing to the families and kids. It is still something. And there is definitely, in this list, there's a lot of great rides that, they appeal to the family, but they still appeal to, the teenage group. So Mission Space, definitely not a really good option if you are really not good with accepting spinning sensations. I would definitely recommend the green line over the one I went on. It was very, very nauseating at the end, because it did go on for a long time, and I did want it to stop at one point, but it is still thrilling. So that's number 10, Mission Space. Number 9 is going to be the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train ride. That one is nice and smooth. It is a roller coaster, and it has the same theming. It has a great theme of that Disney appeal to it. It has all the, they have the animatronics, they have the music, they have the colors, they have the theming in the queue that really, really makes the ride stand out in any other parks that you don't want to visit, with anything that is relating a roller coaster to something, like a movie or something like that. It is definitely their smoothest roller coaster they have, I believe. The last time I went on it, I was surprised on how new it felt, and I believe it is one of the newer rides in Magic Kingdom. The ride is very, very short. This is the downside of it being number 9 only on my list, because it is definitely the shortest ride that I've ever ridden for waiting the time I did. The wait was one of the longest lines all day when I've gone to Magic Kingdom. I've gone on the ride, I think, twice. The first time I didn't, because of how long and ridiculous the line is, that it wouldn't be worth it to go on it. But fast pass is needed, really. If you go to Disney anyway, any park you want to prioritize, definitely get on the rides that are the more exciting ones, the more popular ones. Get that fast pass for them, because waiting in line just wastes the whole day away. So this ride, it had great music. It had the hi-ho that made me really, really get into the ride a lot more with the theming that was, brought to the ride. There is a section in the ride that is kind of a final drop. It acts as a final drop, and it has a really, really good speed around the turn. And after that turn, the ride's basically over. And then there's a really, really creepy dancing princess what is Snow White. It's the scariest thing I've ever seen, but I guess if you like thrill in the scary sense, then yeah, that would be an extra thrill at the end because of how ridiculous they made that animatronic at the end. It is so silly looking, and it's so scary that everyone that goes on that ride will notice it and be like, what is that? But yes, that's all I have to say about that ride. All right, coming at number 8, it's going to be Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Woof, a long name there. This one's a classic. They made the one in Disneyland, and then they made just following it up with it, they made another edition, same concept. I think they made it a little bit different because there is, like, I think scenery differences from the one in California to the one in Florida, but it's definitely a classic. You got to ride it when you go to Magic Kingdom. It is very pretty. That's my favorite part of it. And same with the queue. Same with the ride after, or the ride before we talked about, is the theming of the ride that really, really makes Disney rides more exciting. Because if they didn't have that theming, they just wouldn't be as good as they are. So you add that theming, that beautiful, like, scenery, like, you're going through, like, of course, it's man-made, but it still looks good. It's like if you're in basically a canyon and you're on a Wild West setting, like you're time traveling basically. But my favorite part in the whole ride is that cavern spot. That is the prettiest thing in the park, probably, because of how pretty they made that ride. The best part about this ride, the best pro, is it has really good capacity. Rider capacity is really high on this ride, so you will never have a really, really terrible wait. You would have to go on the worst day to get a bad long waiting time for this ride. Other than that, it's not that thrilling, it's not fast, but it's definitely up there because of how I enjoyed it every time I've gone on it. So it's my number 8. Coming at number 7, it is Epcot, a ride from Epcot. It is Test Track. Test Track, when it was the customizable portion, because of COVID, they got rid of the customization because they didn't want anyone touching the same screen as other people touching things. So they wanted to minimize contact surface and people touching everything that everyone else is touching. So they got rid of the customization, which kind of really, really destroyed the experience of this ride, because the last time I went on it, they didn't have the customization, but the first time I went on it, they did have it because it was pre-COVID, right? So the ride itself is based on, like, I guess, a sponsorship with Chevy, the cars. And you basically make your own car. You can customize it to be eco-friendly. You can customize it for completely performance. You can customize it to, I don't know, aerodynamics. It's really cool. You can change anything you want, and that's part of the wait. And that's part of the queue, and it keeps you company, especially if it's a long wait and a long queue. You have that time to have fun and customize the car. You can do whatever you want. The customization is the best part about the ride. You go into it, it has an awesome experience. The ride itself is really cool. It's like if you're actually in a car and it's driving, because it makes you move. It shifts, like, directions along the track, because it is being pulled by something underneath you. So it's kind of like the one from Disney. That's that Cars ride. I forget the name of that one. I've never gone on it. It's exactly like that same kind of ride, but it is a lot fun. It goes fast. The finale of the ride is you go outside and you end up going like 60 miles per hour around the track, which is a lot of fun. It's exhilarating. It's like if you are actually getting driven on a actual, like, freeway or something like that, but on a Disney ride. So it is a lot of fun. The inside part's not as, I guess, exciting, but it is a lot of fun because it goes over all of the things that you could have customized your car to be good at, and you get a score if you were in that customization at the end, at the very, very end, which is really, really fun. I do like it. And I guess you can look at cars at the end because they sell actual cars at the end of the queue. So, or at the end of the ride, you can literally buy a car there. So it's hilarious. Number 6 is going to be Space Mountain. It's a Magic Kingdom ride. Space Mountain, very, very iconic. The one in California being different from the one in Orlando, Florida, Disney World. But this one in Disney World is still really, really fun. I like the ride. It is a classic. You have to go on it if you go to Magic Kingdom. It's a must. It is a lot of fun. Again, puts you in that theming, and it gets you really, really developed in that story of what they're trying to show you, that you are in the future, you're a space traveler, and you're going through space. It's a lot of fun. I love the decorations. It is dark on the ride, but of course, that is the theming. They don't want you to think you're just inside a huge metal tin can, going around and around because it's very, very compact of a ride. So adding that darkness, stars, pretty lights and colors allows you to think that you're traveling through space, and it's a lot of fun. It's fast. It has a lot of good drops. It's really sudden drops, which is my favorite part of that ride. It's gonna be a little bit more thrilling for the kids, of course, but again, this is my opinion, and this is my thrill aspect to all of the 4 parks at Disney World, Florida. But other than that, the ride is not too short, which is worth the wait. Doesn't matter how long you wait, it's still a good experience and worth the wait if you are waiting in line for it for a bit of a long time. Number 5 is going to be in Hollywood Studios, which I believe is the first one that I have done. Yes, Hollywood Studios is the rock and roller coaster with that starring Aerosmith. From the start of the ride, you are being introduced to the famous band, with them actually being like kind of involving you with the ride, trying to make it seem like they're talking to you, right? So you're basically going to a concert of theirs, or you're going to the show, and you're getting drove there because they're late. So they're flying down the road, right? So the best part about this ride is the launch. You are in the seat, you go in the ride, you get launched. Really know how fast it is, but it is a great launch, and especially for Disney parks, this is a really, really good addition to all of their parks for that roller coaster and thrill aspect to their parks. And I love the theming. I love that star, that celebrity aspect to the ride. It's a lot of fun. It's really unique to any other ride that I've ever been on. It has a lot of cool stuff. It's kind of like Space Mountain, but like juiced up and for the big boys, basically. It is the only downside that I would have to say about this ride is the length. The length is not that long. It is very, very short of a ride. You get on it, you're having fun. It goes upside down multiple times. You're doing corkscrews. You do a half loop at the start, I believe. You get launched, and then you go into a half loop. Then there's a bunch of street signs, and there's a car that has their headlights flashing at you because you're driving probably in the wrong lane. It's just a lot of fun. I like the ride at all. I like the ride a lot. So yeah, it is definitely a must go on when you're at Hollywood Studios. Moving on to number 4. My number 4 is going to be Expedition Everest. This is the one with the Yeti and the mountain in Magic Kingdom. This ride is a lot of fun. I had it in that top 5 for a reason. It is probably one of their best roller coasters they have in the park. It's a lot of fun. There's a reverse section. It's so much fun. You go up this track, you're going down, kind of a slow part. I love that. It builds up the ride very well. Very, very well. This ride broke down on me, and I still like it. Some people be like, oh, that thing is so unreliable. Oh, man, I waited in line. No, I didn't really wait in line that long. The ride is just not as popular as, of course, I'm going to bring up a ride that is definitely taking most of the audience to it, and it's making those lines longer in that park. This ride itself is more thrilling, and if you like roller coasters, go on it, because the line's probably not going to be as long. So anyway, the part where you go up to the spot where it's having fake destroyed track, you stop, and then that's when the stretch track is going behind you, and you end up going down backwards into the mountain, and it goes black, and that's my favorite part of the ride. You're going backwards, and it's just darkness, which is a lot of fun. It makes it way more thrilling, not being able to see anything, and you're going backwards. So lots of fun. And then the best part, of course, is going down the hill out to the open where you can see everyone. People can see you on the ride from off the ride, that is. And you go around that sweeping turn. It's a lot of fun. That's probably the max speed of the ride. Overall, the ride is nice and smooth, and they have a lot of very, very good ride capacity. So you're always never really waiting that long. So it's a very, very good ride for the park. So that one was number 4. Number 3, this is my top 3. This is going to be the finale, guys. Honorable mentions that I did not list on this would be Slinky Dog on Hollywood Studios. That ride is great for the kids. It has launches. It's fun. It's nothing crazy. The turns are really slow. You go around the turns like you're not even going to make them. That's why I didn't put it on the list. It's just a really, really slow ride. It's definitely a kid coaster that you would want to bring your kids on. There wouldn't be anything scared. They wouldn't be scared of the ride. So it's definitely perfect for children. Another ride that did not make it. Another ride will be Kali River Rapids. That ride is a water ride. You get wet on it. You can get pretty soaked on it. It's just not a fun ride. It's not exciting in any means. It's pretty and all, but it's just, I waited so long and I was so disappointed when I went on it. So that would, an honorable mention, of course, gotta put in there that, yeah, some rides don't make it, some rides do. All right, moving on to number 3. This one was a tough one, fitting into the finale, right, for my top 3 from all the parks, because it is one of the best rides, and I love the theming of this ride. It is the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror in Hollywood Studios. This ride being one of the more thrilling rides in the whole entire Disney World resorts. It's just not as kid-friendly. It is more appealing to the teenager crowd as them competing with Universal Studios, of course, their rival park for any competition in that area, where they go and where they want to stay, for any visitors to the city Orlando, right? But this ride is so perfect. I love the queue in the beginning, all the cobwebs, making it all old, and it gets you in that eerie vibe already, not even into the halfway point of the queue, being when you're getting to the elevator, right? You're going to the elevator, then you go exit these doors, and it seems like you're in a basement boiler room. It's really, really dark down there. They have like a really loud bass drum here and there. That's when I remember I've gone on it every time I've gone to that park. It's just a really, really great ride to go on. This one is a lot bigger than the one in California. California got, rethemed to the Guardians of the Galaxy. Here, that one's a lot of fun still to this day, of course, because it's the Tower of Terror. It's one of the best rides in any Disney park, right? So this ride is my favorite part about the Tower of Terror is going to be when you're going up and up and up. You go forward into that room where you see all that weird stuff. There's like an eyeball or something like that. There's some weird stuff. It's like Twilight Zone, the actual show, fitting you into the show, and the theming is so immersive. I love it. You go up to this black wall, and it has these white lines that start forming and separate like you're going through a doorway, and you don't see anything. And then all you hear is "Welcome to the Twilight Zone" or something like that. The voice. The Tower of Terror. And then it's just darkness, which I love. It's just pitch black, and then you drop without any warning, being the best part of the ride. It's just that black room, and you don't get to see anything, and you don't get any warning, and you just drop. And the drop sensation is a lot of fun. It feels like you're going to be hurt, which is kind of scary for me to say, but that's the thrill of it. It's like you're scared, and that's what that makes roller coasters and every ride fun, is with that you feel you're pushing your body to the point where you're like, all right, now I'm actually afraid. But that's what makes it fun. When you're having fun with that feeling, it's a lot of fun. So that's one of the best thrilling rides in the park, I would say, hands down, for the thrill aspect. But after this, the thrill aspect's kind of changing because of the immersive theming of Disney World. Exactly. If this was any other review of any other different franchise like Six Flags or any Cedar Fair park, any other roller coaster park that is based on thrill, that was where that one would be number 1, because of the fact that is one of the more thrilling rides in the whole entire resort. So that makes sense. Number 2 would be either number 1 or top 5 easily in any other person's critique of any of the rides that I'm basically doing right now. This would be the Avatar Flight of Passage. This ride is one of the best 3D rides that you could ever ride. I'm pretty sure. I don't think you'd ever get beat. It wouldn't get beat by any other 3D ride. Of course, moving a little bit in the seats, and you have a massive screen in front of you that is 3D, to the point where you think it's right in front of you, and you're right in that world. You're just basically being immersed in that world. You wear in those 3D glasses. You have basically like a motorcycle seat, and it's having motion, like things moving on the seats. It looks like it makes it feel like you're actually riding, the creatures in that ride. I wish I remembered them. I think they're banshees. It's kind of an easy name to remember. I got it. It's the banshees. It's like you're actually riding them. It's so beautiful. They have that aroma, effects. They have that spray that sprays at you, and you don't know. What's the best part about that spray is you can't recognize what that spray is. You don't smell that in any like fragrance stores. If you go to the mall or anything, you smell that Macy's. You don't recognize that smell, and that's what also adds to the experience of that ride. This one being the longest wait I've ever waited in any Disney park. It was the longest line. The line is cool. The theming is there, so it does keep you company, but it is such a long line. Every time I've gone on it, we've never gotten a fast pass. You would have to book so far in advance to get a fast pass for this ride. It is so long of a line, but it is definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. The ride is definitely it's worth to wait if you've never been on it and ever been on a ride like of that stature, of that 3D, thrill. Like, the experience is so overwhelming, and I've never been on anything like that. It's so much fun. I loved the ride. I remember getting off of it and I'm like, that was cool. It wasn't like thrilling, like, whoa, yeah, but it's so cool. You're going to be like getting off like, wow, that's cool. That's really all I can say about the ride. Long wait, great experience. Avatar Flight of Passage at number 2. Number 1 is going to be my personal favorite. Of course, it's my bias. It's going to be Splash Mountain, number 1. Splash Mountain at Magic Kingdom, the ride from start to finish being so long, so detailed. There's so much going on. There's so many animatronics, and animatronics are all really good. Of course, there's some that are just not moving as much as others. Some are dancing, moving their mouths, moving their eyes. Of course, there's more detailed ones and less detailed ones, but their detail in that ride is so vast. It is amazing. The queue is so cool. It has that like southern theming. Of course, it's gonna have undergoing some changes soon in the future, but I hope the best for the ride's quality. I know that the story itself, the cartoon, is very controversial, I'm hearing. That's all I'll note on that. I don't want to talk anymore on the actual controversy of the ride, but I'm talking the actual experience in the ride itself without any of the background and whatever it stood for, or whatever the story was before. This is the actual ride. It's the log ride. It's a water ride. You get wet on it. The hills are a lot of fun, and adding that immersive, fun animatronic, like you're actually in the cartoon, is a lot of fun. The part where it's like, you best turn back now, is the really, really eerie, woo! Music, it's so fun, and there's a drop coming, the final drop being the best part of the ride. After that drop, you still have a lot of entertainment. After that, it's such a long ride. So if the line is long, you're gonna know it's worth it because of how long the ride is. Out of any ride that I've been on at Disney World, this being the most quality I've ever seen. I've been on the Splash Mountain in California, and I do not remember it being that long. When I went to the one in Florida, I was like, oh my, this ride is so long. It's so good. It's worth the line, and it's worth the wait. It's just worth going on. So the ride itself, with the nice long hill, it's thrilling. At the same time as that immersive theming that any Disney ride is trying to aim for the style of their park. It has everything. So hope the best in any changes. I know it's going to the Princess and the Frog, which is good because it can still fit into that swampy water. It's just a water ride can definitely fit that theming. I hope they nail the creativity that went into the Splash Mountain, because the one at Disney World is a lot different than the one at Disneyland. I hope the best for whatever changes. Go for it. So I don't want it to go down in creativity. I don't want it to go down in value. Where I hold it in my heart. I hope it turns out well. So thank you. I know this one was a bit lengthy, but there's a lot to talk about with all these rides. It's very specific of a park and very specific of a review for me, because it is not the same as if I was going, Six Flags, let's go. We're going down right now. We're going straight thrill, speed, adrenaline. It's going to be a lot different. That's why it kind of was like a jammer, going on and on like a grandpa on some of them. But thank you guys so much for watching. This was my top 10 for Disney World resorts in Orlando, Florida. Check it out. Try to pick all the rides that I've talked about. Of course, there's rides that I talked about over in every park. Disney Magic Kingdom having the most on my list is definitely one that you should prioritize. That park definitely has the prettiest show at the end. It has the fireworks show, Happily Ever After. I forget the name of the show. It's definitely worth it. You have a lot of parades that come in throughout the day, probably being the more iconic parades that they have at the Disney World resorts. So Disney Magic Kingdom definitely being a recommendation for me. After that, you pick out of the other three, either Hollywood Studios, Epcot, or Animal Kingdom. So thank you all so much for watching. This was my top 10, and we'll see you in the next one.